All this week, we've been bringing you the series Baker and the Beast. It's a story of a family dealing with motor neurone disease. And in the last episode, we heard about the impact that Cath Baker's illness is having on her husband and 3 daughters, that's her immediate family, and on her friends as well. Today, we're focusing on practical help and care that's available for anyone living with a life-altering illness. How do you go about getting the services you need into the house? How can technology make things easier? And how do you put your willing friends to good use so you and the family get the help you actually need? We'll be speaking to a couple of guests who specialise in providing services and support. But before we do, here's episode 4 of Baker and the Beast, with the focus on how care is being provided for Cath Baker and her family.
From the time I wake up in the morning until the time I go to bed at night, I'm reliant on someone with me 24/7.
So I think I'll have toast this morning.
There's been a lot of firsts in the last 2 years. The first time someone had to feed me. The second one was I can't toilet myself. The first time I went into the wheelchair, the first time Gran had to clean my teeth, the first time somebody else had to put makeup on me, the first time I had to let people do my hair without me being able to fix it or shush it or touch it, or there's just so many. With the list would be endless about how many things you take for granted on a day-to-day basis.
Kath's got some amazing girlfriends. Seeing the support that they provide Kath, the way they love her and care for her, it's amazing.
That's the thing, people are here all the time. Mondays it's me and Becky B, and then Tuesdays it's Ness and Ness on Wednesdays, but there's always other people here.
Georgia will be here at lunchtime, and Jen. And then Becky said she'd call in if I needed a toilet stop. I realised I couldn't drive anymore, I couldn't shower myself, I wasn't safe to be in the house by myself in case I fell. So from that point we started to outsource all the things that I was able to do as a mother.
Hey Google, add peanut butter to the shopping list.
Okay, I've added peanut butter.
Coffee would be great. Thank you.
Now, caramelization or...
The day normally starts out of bed into the shower, followed by my coffee, breakfast, toilet. I get massages at home, physio. I constantly have people coming through the door checking on nutrition. We have assistance with meals twice a week.
Are you happy with it, over, right over?
The fact that you're asking people to help is also hard, because I'd always been on the other side of the foot and providing meals for other people and carting their kids around and all that sort of stuff. It was really hard to not want to sound not thankful, but sort of grieving in a way that I couldn't be that person anymore.
You go down first?
Yep. Yep, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Stop. Yep.
What I've learned about supporting someone with MND is probably the same as supporting anyone, I think, with an illness, is that the person, or maybe this is just Kath, but certainly the way she's dealing with it, Kath needs to be the one making decisions, not other people for her. She needs to decide how it's going to be, whether that's your friendship or how things are going to happen, or when it's time to go into a wheelchair, or, rather than being told to do things at a certain time.
That's as low.
Perfect.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's great.
All right. Got the keys.
Life goes on as normal is another thing that I've learned, and maybe that's our group of friends. We laugh a lot.
My worst thing this month was that I had a brand new nurse, Lucy, start, and she's in my kitchen, and she said, "I've got to wash up this pot. Oh, it's got rice in it." I said, "Oh, we haven't eaten rice." Maggots.
Oh!
I was so embarrassed. I said, "I've never had maggots in my kitchen before."
Did we just ignore a pot?
Well,
the
the
lucky
pot
thing is
that
you can go, well, it wasn't me.
Wasn't me.
Where's the pot that's on the stove that we all ignore?
Yes.
Okay.
So the lid's on it, and obviously it had a silver side cooked in it like 2 weeks
my
before.
God.
And I went, "Oh my God, she's never going to come back."
So yeah, my goodness, you are surrounded by efficient people, aren't you?
Very
Clearly you do a wonderful job caring for you. Sorry.
I'm glad it happened on the first day, or something like that happened, because I think it was a real icebreaker. It was good for us, our relationship, I think, to know that things like that were going to happen and we could just laugh it off. And, come in, get Kath up, pop her in the shower, do all that sort of stuff. And I think what Kath says is that we're just an extension of her, and I think it's nice to be able to do that well, which as a nurse, I don't feel like I was given enough time in hospitals to do things that well, and I really enjoy this job because you can do it well and do it the right way.
It's kind of like a coffee catch-up too in the shower, because we talk about, you know, what the kids are up to or what's happening that day, or if I've got a sore bit or something that's tension, top or bottom. It's all sort of discussed in the bathroom and stays in the bathroom, and then we come out and it's on to the next thing.
Get on.
Yeah.
I'm just going to make your bed.
Okay. Hey Siri.
I was so surprised when I started with Kath at how much new technologies were able to help her continue to be as independent as she can, because that's kind of the aim of the game, isn't it? That even though she can't move her arms and her legs, that she can continue to kind of run a household. And so I get here and Kath uses, you know, Siri for sending messages, Siri for accessing all her apps on her phone, which means that she knows that her girls have gotten to school safely, or in group apps for, you know, dropping off and picking up for sporting activities. And it means that she can continue to do that rather than having to outsource that. And that, I think, you know, continues her identity as a mother, and I think that's really important.
Hey Google, add soft cheese and crackers to the shopping list.
You know, 90% of the time she's extremely positive, and then there's other times she's pretty flat, and not that she ever wants to give up, but sometimes I think she's just had enough, just with the sheer frustration of losing her independence and her ability to do some of the most simplest things like clean her teeth.
Thank you. Just shut the door a little bit, please. But listen out for me, okay? Talking about good weeks and bad weeks, and just pushing on really, this week's been a bit of a challenge. I had a feeding tube inserted. It's more around precautionary care. It's that if my lung function continues to decrease, then I can be fed, you know, medications, food and water through the peg tube. And the last few days have proved to be really tricky in that it gets in the way, it gets tugged, it's painful because it's only new and it's raw, and it makes you sort of question, why am I doing this? Why am I trying to prolong my life, or why am I trying to make these decisions that ultimately sort of step me back a few months? And it's really difficult to stay upbeat all of the time because I'm conscious of not dragging everyone down to where I might be on that day. But also there's a fine line between allowing myself to have a bad day and just want to feel like I just want to crawl in a ball and make everyone else go away. Maybe I am feeling a bit sorry for myself, but it's just, you know, the ebbs and flows with life when things are thrown in and just put a spanner in the works and upset the apple cart again. But look, we'll get through this hurdle. The people around me are trying to make that transition as easy as possible. Onward and upward. We'll see what tomorrow brings, and hopefully we'll be feeling a little bit better. Okay, signing off. Scarlett! Darling, can you press stop recording?
She's a legend, isn't she? Cath Baker. And the sound of footsteps from her daughter Scarlett, helping her to turn off the phone for that audio diary recording as Cath describes the physical and emotional impact of having a feeding tube inserted into her stomach. We also heard Cath making use of voice-activated assistants like Siri and Google in that package. Technology, really, that's making things easier for those living with a life-altering illness. Let's talk about this some more. What's available to many people across all spectrums of illness and incapacitation that you can take advantage of these days? Mark Deverell is Director of Client Services for an organisation called ARC Support Services. It offers practical solutions and care for people who want to remain independent in their homes. And Mark's in our Launceston studio. G'day, Mark. You've heard that package, I know, with Baker and the Beast, and I guess it's a case in point. Let's say, for example, I've been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. What are the systems in place that talk to each other from my GP through to the sort of end user that means that I get the best kind of support?
Well, generally, social work services and the referral would go through to a social work service or a service that's there to help the person navigate what systems are available, because GPs are across a broad range of services and are not necessarily all over what's available, whereas case management and social work, it's the expectation that they have a good understanding of what the available services are, and it's good if you can find all the available services you need in a one-stop shop rather than having to shop around, because there are so many available. So
the GP at your local surgery would make a referral to a social services coordinator?
Yes.
Right, okay, that's great news for anyone, of course. And what kinds of care can be arranged to occur for someone living with a life-altering illness in their house?
Everything really, to keep the person as independent as possible, because especially when somebody acquires a degenerative condition or a disability under the age of 65, the idea is to keep the person in the home as long as possible. So it can be anything from domestic assistance to personal care, allied health services, even modifications to your home to keep you as independent as possible.
Well, in the case of Cath Baker, of course, from Baker and the Beast, we heard Cath using Siri and Google Home, which are freely available pretty much to any consumer who can afford them, and these are virtual assistants. Are they becoming more common as part of the overall matrix of support in the home?
They are, and thanks to the National Disability Insurance Scheme, access to other systems that are quite expensive are also being made available.
What kind of things do you mean?
So environmental controls, keeping somebody at home and setting up their home to enable them to open doors, curtains, turn lights on, use systems within their house.
And I know that Google Home, for instance, I think it allows voice activation. As long as you have those kinds of technologies to link up to those parts of the house, they work pretty well, don't they?
Yeah, and with other environmental systems, you can actually have your doors automated. So by the push of a button, the doors can open, or you can wear a pendant and use the pendant to open the doors. But with that, as well as your condition deteriorates, you can move on to an eye gaze system where you can actually control a lot of aspects of your home with the movement of your eyes.
And in fact, in the video, which you can see on our Facebook page from Cath Baker, she is doing just that. She has this technology that surrounds her eyes that allows her to, with her eyes, move a cursor across a screen, and she's emailing people, she's talking to people on Facebook Messenger. It's all happening just with her eyes.
Yeah, and that can also, it operates off an infrared system that it can be linked to door controls, so you can open the back door and independently take yourself out. It can also control your wheelchair, so you can maintain that independence within your own home and not be so reliant on other people.
And Mark, is that kind of system open and accessible to anyone?
It is with assessment, so generally an occupational therapist or other relevant allied health professional would do an assessment, and those are the types of supports that you would receive through the National Disability Insurance Scheme.
Okay, that's good to know. Now, another kind of technology Cath and her family and friends are using to help manage tasks is an online tool called Gather My Crew. And here to tell us more about it is the CEO and founder, Susan Palmer. Hello.
Hi, Michael.
Welcome back. You actually were on Life Matters, Susan, just as you were kicking off, I think, about a year ago.
Yes, 12 months.
What's been happening in the interim?
It's been amazing, the level of interest we've had in Gather My Crew and the users that we've got online at the moment. We're about 4,500 users. So these are people who are connecting with their friends and family and neighbours and community in a way they couldn't before by asking for the help that they need.
So how does this work online? How do you make it happen?
So what we've done is we've created a way to ask for help, in an easy way to ask for help. an easy way for friends and family to provide the right kind of help, and an easy way to turn the flurry of offers you often get at the very start into ongoing and sustained care.
So is it like an online roster where everyone can see each other and what they're up to?
It is. So someone logs in and they select from our list of 80 tasks all the things that they might need help with, food or house care or pets or kids on transport. They select those things.
Or cleaning the maggots out of the saucepan?
All those things.
All those things.
Yeah, friends and family are more than happy to do those kind of things for you. So they select those things, they enter the names of their friends and family and neighbours and colleagues, and they send out an electronic invite. And people can come and see all the things that you need help with that we've put in an integrated roster system,
Right.
and they just click and select what they can help with in and around the times that they can help. And what we've been told is it's so much easier to ask for help in this way because you're not having eyeballed conversations with people where they feel awkward, you feel uncomfortable, and also it allows them to select the things that they can help with. And people get more help because they can do it around the times when they have free time, and it's proven to be very efficient and effective.
Tell people why it is that you created Gather My Crew.
Well, I've got a background as a psychologist and have spent a long time working with cancer patients, and was always hearing this disconnect between people in need of help and their friends and family and community who desperately wanted to help but didn't quite know how. And I couldn't quite understand, as a clinician, why this was happening. And
Just get on with it.
Exactly. Come
Yeah.
on, it can't be that hard. And then had the personal experience myself of trying to gather a crew for a friend of mine who was having back surgery and was going to be flat on her back for 6 weeks. And in trying to organise 30 people to provide 6 weeks of care for her 5-year-old twins, transport and meals and, lunchbox snacks and cleaning the house and mowing the lawn and taking the bins out and all the things that you need to keep a family running was completely overwhelming. And it was one of those life's aha moments when you think, no wonder people haven't been doing this as efficiently and effectively as they could have. It's just too damn hard. And so Gather My Crew is a way we use technology to make it easier to ask for help and get the right kind of help.
Now, we should mention that Gather My Crew is freely available. It's a charity that you run.
Yeah, we're a registered Australian charity.
That's right.
Correct.
So anyone can download the software and use it. And we have a link up on the Life Matters website today, so you can do this if you're listening. But I guess the other great thing about this, Susan, is that it actually would help draw in people to put themselves into a roster when maybe they don't feel as close to the immediate family and the person with the illness, but they still want to help.
Yeah.
Like sometimes blokes aren't very good at expressing their support. I would imagine that Gather My Crew allows them to feel very organised in a kind of blokey way to say, I'm filling that gap between 2 and 3 tomorrow.
Yeah, I think the men, we've definitely seen, we've got about 25% of our users are men, which is really very high actually in the volunteering kind of numbers that you get generally. And I think one of the ways we've done that is we've offered things where they're comfortable providing that help. There's a lot of homework help, provided between 6 and 7 o'clock at night on the way home.
Great.
There's lots of drives to, weekend transport to soccer, lawn mowing. We're kind of still using those traditional things that men like to do, but allowing them to do it really easily. And I think one of the other things that's really important about Gather My Crew, and it's something that Kath, the piece about Kath mentions as well, is that we empower the person needing the help to select who they want to provide that help. This is not something that anyone can just come and click and see what's going on in Kath's life. She has to invite you into her crew.
So she's the administrator?
Or she or someone she loves, but it's definitely managed by the person in need. It's not something that's managed externally to them where everyone knows your business. You've got people turning up that you really didn't want to turn up at a time that is really not appropriate.
No.
So it allows them to control the things that they're still able to control, which is really important.
On Life Matters, my guest is Susan Palmer of Gather My Crew, an online rostering tool which helps people identify the type of help they can give to family, friends and colleagues and when to give. And Mark Deverell is Care Coordinator and Provider of ARC Support Services in northwestern Tasmania. And what about from your perspective, if you're listening right now, what kinds of tools and services have really made a difference inside your family when someone's dealing with a big medical issue? If there's things we haven't got to, you can message us right now on Facebook. Mark Deverell, in the kind of support services you provide in that part of Tasmania, does Gather My Crew ever get a mention?
It doesn't, but since I learnt about it the other day, it's certainly something that I would be supporting people to access. because I suppose as a care service, one of the first things we do look at the natural supports available to people and how we can enhance their independence through those natural supports. So I think that it would be a fantastic thing to be able to share with other people.
Mark, I also want to, I know I keep harping on about this, but I kind of think people really want to know what they can afford and what is going to be provided for them without needing to, cough up cash. For someone like Cath Baker, who has a disease that gradually debilitates her body over time, she moved from one kind of wheelchair to another kind of wheelchair. Then she moves to a totally discreet bed away from or next to her husband's bed because it caters for her specific issues around muscles and lack of coordination. Those are big ticket items. Does our health system support anyone to get that kind of support?
Eligibility for the National Disability Insurance Scheme would cover those things because it looks at what is reasonable and necessary, and as somebody's condition is declining, then it is only reasonable that the equipment that they're using be updated as well. So the NDIS does cover equipment, it does cover chair modifications, chair replacements, even down to the iPad system that you utilise for eye gaze and your environmental controls. So having support to navigate that system is to ensure that you actually are getting everything that you require as part of your support.
Susan Palmer, very quickly to you as a psychologist. Kath, in the end of her story, talked about she has low days, as you'd expect. She doesn't want to burden her family with that. She wants to have someone, I guess, that sometimes listen that isn't part of the family. Can she avail herself of support in that area?
I think, look, going back to the practical support of friends and family that's around you, I think by being engaged in this practical care and having people come by, they're still coming by even on those low days. And I think that's a really important part of this. Often people avoid because it's awkward and it's difficult to be around someone in such distress.
Well, she may want to leapfrog friends totally, though. She may want to go to a professional. Are there people who can be seen by a professional without the family and friends getting involved?
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah, great.
Most definitely. And I think she spoke about her family counsellor and the psychologist that's been helping her early on in the week. And it's a very important part of what's going on. But also not being socially isolated is a very, very strong protective factor against depression during these times as well.
Of course, Gather My Crew can help as well. So that's great. Susan Palmer is the CEO and founder of Gather My Crew. Thank you very much indeed. You can find a link to that service on the Life Matters website. And Mark Deverill, Director of Client Services at ARC Support Services in Northwestern Tasmania. Mark, thank you too.
Thank you.